Okay, we've had a little bit of a disaster. So, what happened is the car was running and I was checking for a spark. Um, or let me backtrack. The car was running and then it just died. All of a sudden, didn't even make a noise, just like completely shut off. Um, wasn't getting spark at the spark plugs. The coil was good, and through a whole series of testing, I eventually took the cap off of the distributor, and the rotor, um, this guy, was not turning. Um, and if you take a look at this, the way that this turns is by this gear. Excuse me. And that gear is attached directly to the camshaft, which meant the camshaft was not moving. However, the pistons were, which literally meant that the only thing that could be the problem is that either the timing chain broke or fell off. And I am sad to report, I am ashamed to report, I'm deeply embarrassed to report that it was my fault. Let's see if, yeah, the bowl is right here. I forgot this bolt. This bolt connects to the cam sprocket and it tightens it down. I must have taken the timing set off and on like 3 or 4 times, maybe 5 times, trying to make sure, just like double, triple checking that I had my dots lined up because it was the first time I did it, and then at the end I forgot to bolt it down, put the timing cover on, and it ran for a little while and basically it fell off. I've actually already thrown out the carnage, but the damage includes the following. The timing cover, the inner part of the timing cover had a little lip that got knocked off when the sprocket came out. The teeth of the sprocket actually were completely busted. I have some pictures I can throw up. But then it also turns out that this is an interference motor, which means that the valves contacted the cylinders. Now the cylinders, or excuse me, the pistons. The pistons actually are fine. I've gone over it a couple different times. There's like a slight little mark here and there where the valves contacted, but my machine shop guy said that even if they had little marks like that, that is actually fine. What didn't survive was the valves and the push rods. The push rods bent, the valves bent. So I basically just I pulled everything completely apart. As you can see, I've got stuff all over the garage, waiting to now go back on. I had to drain the coolant, everything. Like the whole front of the motor, or the top end of it is off, and everything that connected to the top end is off. And I am waiting on heads. I should have them the next day or so, but I've got the new timing set in, and I am getting prepped to do that and actually remember the bolt this time. That's about where it stands. Yeah, it's a pretty major setback in some ways. In other ways, it just it's a learning experience, and I'm not. Yeah, it's not the way that I wanted to have to learn this particular one, but I will never make this mistake again. I can guarantee that, because it is damn expensive to have the heads taken care of. And at first I was like, oh, I'll do it myself, but it's like once they're bent, like you can do your own valve job if you want. You can seat your valves if you're just doing like a little workover on stock heads. For a little while I actually even considered throwing I've still got the old iron heads, but I would still need different push rods. Not just like I couldn't just use the stock push rods because I have that upgraded cam. and the cam and the heads and everything. It came in like this top end kit that is all together. So I had to bite the bullet and get the heads done properly, and I'm sure in the long run I'll appreciate that. But for right now, it super sucks. And going through the process of having to put everything back together is I'd rather be on a different part of this build at this point. The last time I was messing with this, I was still in shorts and t-shirts. Now it's the middle of February, so it feels like it's a big step back. But once I get the heads back on it, it should be easy to actually just put everything back together. You know, a little time consuming, and then fire it up, and it should be everything like. I shouldn't be going any further backwards than this. Plus sides to this, there's not many besides the fact that I get extra practice of putting together a motor again. But one of the plus sides is that I actually had the fuel lines coming down underneath this guy right here. And now I'm going to run them above there so I don't run into any kind of problems with it hitting the ground. Joe from the forums pointed that out to me, so that's a pretty damn good idea. And I have a one-piece gasket for the oil pan that I was kind of that I got after I had installed the oil pan. So I've been meaning to do that. So I guess that's a pretty good excuse. Just in case you're wondering, yes, I dropped the oil pan and fully drained out everything. Oil pan's sitting over here right behind this lathe, but I went through it and completely scrubbed it. Yeah, there's a couple pieces of metal that came out from the timing cover. And yeah, and I'll clean it up even a little bit more before that goes in for real. Obviously the oil's drained and coolant's drained out. Throwing in a new oil filter. Yeah, and that's about that. So hopefully in the very near future this will all be back together, and maybe it's throwing me off by a few weeks, but hopefully it'll all be back together and I'll be go-karting in no time. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. I don't know exactly why you'd want to like this particular video. I definitely don't like it. But yeah, subscribe to see more updates from a noob putting together a car. All right, peace y'all.